Right, explain using examples. So straight away again, in that question, it's asking you to use examples. So you've got to put the examples in there in order to get the marks. So explain using examples why it's important for performers and spectators to show good etiquette and sporting behaviour, okay? So, like we've talked about in lesson, if you can put a plan at the start, you can use that. I could mark some of those answers. You wouldn't be able to get into the top bracket, but if you ran out of time and could only write a couple of lines, I could move you up, because you've only wrote 1 point in your question. I could move you up to 2 marks, okay? Because you've got the information in there that is needed, okay? So my plan would be, the reason why it's important for performers to use and spectators to show good etiquette would be a fairness for all participants, okay? I'd talk about that it demonstrates good sportsmanship. I'd do 3, promotes excellence and other sporting values. 4, increased safety. 5, positive role models. And 6, improves reputation, which then leads to increased sponsorship. Okay? For the 8-mark question, I recommend that you do 5 points that are well explained. Okay? It gives yourself a little bit of a cushion then, that if you've got one of them wrong, you've got a little bit of something back to fall back on. Okay? So 5 key points, I know I've done 6 on here, but 5 key points gives you that leeway in case you do make a mistake with one of them. Okay? Remember now, for each of these, I need to be using examples, because that's what it's asked me to do. Okay? So what I've written is, it's important for performers and spectators to show good etiquette and sporting behaviour, as it ensures fairness for all participants. For example, so I've gone there and I've put, for example, spectators should be silent while both players are serving in tennis. Okay? So there's my first point with an explanation. So it's really important that you put that explanation at the end or at the beginning to back up what you're trying to say. Without it, you would only get 1 out of the 2 marks for that little bit. So the explanation or the example will get you that extra mark. Okay? Now, secondly, it demonstrates good sportsmanship, promotes excellence and increases the safety of all. There again, I've made it explicit for the marker. I've put e.g. helping an injured opponent in basketball to ensure they receive the right treatment quickly. Okay? The more you can do to help the marker see where you've put your examples, the better it is. Because you've got to remember, they've got, last year I marked 300 papers, so I saw 300 of these questions. And the easier you make it for the marker to see where you're putting your examples, the better chance you have of getting those marks. Okay? I've then finished off by saying this will increase enjoyment, which should increase spectatorship due to the sport becoming better to watch. Okay? Now I'll just let you get that bit down. So with the 8-mark question, make sure at the start you always put a plan and that you read. If the question asks you to use examples to back it up, then you put those examples in there and make it obvious to the marker where you've put your examples. So just a simple e.g. or for example, knows that then you've put an example in there and it will help them when they're coming to market, okay? Right, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to move that one on, but right, so then additionally, it's important to promote sporting values through good etiquette, because the question asks, why is it important for sport performers and spectators to show good etiquette and sporting behaviour? So it's important that you talk about both of those. We don't just talk about the sporting behaviour, but we also talk about the etiquette as well. For example, showing tolerance and respect for other opponents and nationality by being silent through national anthems. So once again, I've made it explicit in there, for example. So the marker can see where I'm putting my examples in there. Okay? Has everyone nearly done that top one? Am I right to move it up? Go to there, look. Right. Next one. Both performers and spectators need to set a good example and be positive role models for others, including children in the crowd, by not using offensive language and not displaying poor behaviour. Okay? So it's making sure that we've got both parts of the question, because really this is a question that's split into two. It's asking you to talk about why good etiquette is important in spectators and sports performers, and why sporting behaviour is important in both spectators and performers. So you must also make sure in this that you talk about both performers and the spectators, because if you don't, you're going to reduce the number of marks that you could possibly get. Okay? Right, last little bit. Furthermore, by showing good etiquette from both performers and spectators, it could improve the reputation and appeal of a sport. Again, I've made it really specific. For example, rugby is popularly known as a sport where players show respect to the officials. Okay? So I've talked there about both performers and spectators under that good etiquette. So I'm showing the examiner that I know that both performers and players need that good etiquette in order for the sport to have a good reputation. Okay? There's only a little bit. This, don't we turn it down a bit? Right, I'll read this last bit out and then I'll put it up for you. The last little bit then is, this may increase participation and could lead to an increase in sponsorship opportunities, therefore generating more money and making the sport more popular. Okay, I'll move that up so you can put that one up in a minute. I know just some people. Now, the big thing when it comes to the 8-mark question is that you write more than just a paragraph. I've gone into quite a lot of detail there, but it should be a minimum of at least one side of A4. Okay? I would say if you're looking to try and get up to those 8 marks, you need to be getting onto that second side. There is always additional paper, always additional sheets behind. If not, you can ask for extra paper. Okay? But it's just making sure that you use the information that's in the question to help you answer it. So it's the people who write the exam have told you that they want you to use examples to back up what you are saying. Okay? So So it's really important that you put those examples in there for them to see, so you can link it back to the sport. You're showing that you can link things back to sport. Okay? Make sure that you talk about both the performer and the spectator, and you talk about both etiquette and sporting behaviour. Okay? All right, to move it up, isn't it? There, that's it then. Okay? Now, that's the whole paper.